Hey, beautiful souls. Are you ready to elevate your health and wellness journey? Join my Empowered Within Holistic Health and Wellness private community on Facebook. Imagine having a supportive tribe where you can connect, share, and grow together. Receive exclusive access to holistic health tips, empowering workshops, all designed to help you thrive. Head over to jenniferpilates.com to join our Empowered Within Holistic Health and Wellness community today. Don't miss out on this transformational experience. Empower your mind, body, and spirit today. Let's embark on this journey together. Head over to jenniferpilates.com to join our Empowered Within Holistic Health and Wellness community today. I'll see you there. Welcome to Empowered Within, a soul-quenching, transformational podcast that will set your soul on fire. Through candid and inspiring conversations, leading experts, celebrities, healers, and I share our journeys of how we've overcome challenges to living an empowered life from within. I'm your host, Jennifer Pilates. Welcome to another episode of Empowered Within. Hi there, and welcome to the show. I am so honored once again to welcome back our guest, Dr. Sherry Campbell. Dr. Sherry is a licensed clinical psychologist who specializes in helping healthy people cut ties with toxic people in their lives. She is a nationally recognized expert on family estrangement, a best-selling author, TEDx speaker, a top 1% podcast host of her show, Therapy Sessions, Cutting Toxic Family Ties. She's a well-known social media influencer and a regularly featured media expert. And we are honored in our series that we've been doing here, Therapy Sessions, we have chatted about how to survive toxic family members, what steps we can take to heal. And here in our third session, we are here to talk about taking that one step forward, how to have healthy romantic relationships. Welcome to the show, Dr. Sherry.
Thank you for having me back. I love being on your show, Jennifer, and this one's going to be a good one.
Oh, it is. I am so excited. And so I figured we may take one little step backward in order to take this huge jump forward to help people along. If they haven't already listened to our other two episodes, they can grab those afterwards. So I wanted to jump into what you talk about in your book, Adult Survivors of Emotionally Abusive Parents, your latest book. You talk about the three aspects of healing self: the inner child, the present day self, and our future self, I like to say our higher self. And you talk about to know love is to know yourself. And so we want to talk about how important that very step is before you can really jump into that romantic relationship.
I think that we can jump into romantic relationships to sort of get mirrored to us where we don't know ourselves very well. I would say that my most toxic romantic relationships have probably been my greatest guides and teachers, leading me to me. Right. So I was not loved. I wasn't cherished. I was a commodity. I was a piece of property. And I did not learn to know myself because my way of surviving, like many survivors, was to please my perpetrating parents. And not that I ever successfully pleased them, but it was better than going against them because that only created my demise. And the benefit cost to that was zero for me. So there's no way to get to know yourself if you grow up having to please for survival. You grow up trying to be the version or image of what you think someone outside of you wants you to be. That causes you to attract people who will not honor you. And you will be running around playing this game of who do I need to be in this moment? Who do I need to be today? Who do I need to be this week? And that's sort of when we get to this place of just such intense heartbreak that we either get stuck there and we stop evolving and we just blame the people that we're dating, that were selfishly using us, but we have to take accountability that we allowed that and why. So everyone always in our culture says, including me, love yourself. And I think that's appropriate for some part of someone's journey who's evolved. Self-care techniques, I totally believe in. I recommend them, but those things have never led for me to self-love. I'm just doing loving things for another person I don't love, right? So I couldn't love myself until I knew myself. And knowing myself took and takes a lot of examination. And I now am at a place where I know my wounding very, very well. And I think that's the biggest part of knowing yourself is what are your bad habits? What are your core wounds? How much do you operate from feeling abandoned or fearing being a burden or feeling like you're never going to be enough or no one's going to like you? So you're overcompensating. You've got to get to know that person. And I think that's our child self. I think the most emotional part of us is our child self. And in my work, and I put my personal work always in my books because what's worked to heal me isn't out there. Because I don't know another expert who tells their story in a professional manner in the way that I write my books. I'm sort of the pioneer that way. But I really had to do a deep dive, and I get more comments on that part of my book as being life-saving than any other part. Because how can we love someone that we don't know? If we don't value us, how can someone else? Why would someone else? We're not even requiring it. So you really do need to do a deep dive in getting to know yourself. And you know what? People are in their heads right now going, well, how do I do that?
Exactly. Right. Where
Right.
do I
And that's
start?
how sad it is that we don't even know how.
Right.
Right. So I did a lot of things to do that. And, I took all the psychological personality tests I could get my hands on, Myers-Briggs, Enneagram. I found my life path number. I did my astrological chart. I'm also a human design analyst, so I read that chart. I read every book that I loved from every theorist I loved, and I found out who I was, why I was this way. Understanding why I was that way helped me to look to the directions of how I could change that. I hated my inner child as much as my parents did because that's what they taught me. I was ashamed and embarrassed of my insecurities and my overcompensating habits. And so I had to look at those as superpowers and guides or signposts, talismans to get me to the next place of what I wanted to feel. And I developed this theory of, your child self, your present day self, and your future self. And they all need to come together and have some conference calls, team meetings, so that you can nurture your emotional self the way it never was. So that as at the present day you're not living in self-hate and self-abuse. And then you have an idea from the future self. Who do you want to be? How creative is that? And we can be whoever we want. And so that tripart theory that I developed has been the most powerful healing tool for me personally as a survivor.
I would agree with you. I think it's so important when you can go back and connect with your inner child and understand what you missed out on. That love. You have to learn how to reparent yourself. You have to be your mother, be your father of what you didn't have for whatever reason.
And be the child who was rightfully angry, rightfully abandoned, rightfully pissed off, rightfully run over, rightfully abandoned. Those are your rights. That is what happened to you. We don't get to rob people of their core wounding experiences. It's about reparenting, but it's also about accepting that you were emotionally abused because all abuse is emotional, all of it. When my dad punched me in the face, that made me sad far longer past the time my injuries healed. When he called me a fucking prick, that hurts my feelings today. Far past due the time that he said those words. If you are molested, I promise you're hurting today, far past due the time that your last physical act of being molested happened. All abuse hurts us. And I gave my inner child her world back, and I let her feel it, and I let her own it. And then you can go in and reparent, but I didn't want to reparent a pleasing child who still was not allowed to own and live in the rightful feelings that she deserved to have as a natural consequence to her abuse.
Right. No, it's so well stated. It's so important to just get back And it's such a powerful healing process when you work with your inner child. And when
Oh,
you
yeah.
allow yourself to feel those emotions, your whole world changes. You literally are that phoenix that is coming up and rising again, yet as that little child, which is so important, as you say, to integrate with who you are today and
That's right.
with your future self, where you'd like to be headed.
And the one thing I would say that I learned the most from going through that in my journal, is it sort of beautifully manifested as something I should do, was the only part of me that has never lied to me was the child self. She was the most honest of every aspect of me. And it was her honesty and sensitivity that got her scapegoated in the first place. So she's the real hero, little Sherry, as I call her in my book. She's the real hero. She pestered me and destroyed my life until I listened to her. And
Mm-hmm.
I woke up to her. I didn't wake her up.
Here we go. Tears are coming.
Yeah.
I mean, but I feel that so deep in my core when you say that. I truly feel that
Yeah.
so deep.
Yeah. And I don't think I haven't seen anyone else sort of have that experience, or at least write about it or talk about it. But I admire her more than anybody else, far more powerful than even my future self, because I'm creating my future self out of the child self. Right. So she just wouldn't stop until I listened. And that is what children do. They don't stop until they're heard. And if
Mm-hmm.
you don't hear them, they will estrange themselves from you. And then we become estranged from within until we listen to the person that we left to protect, to the aspect of self that we left that family, those parents to protect. We still have to do the work. Leaving and estranging is only the very first step of your healing journey. You really cannot heal if you have very sadistic parents until you estrange. But what they've done to you is still yours. It's your work. It's your inner child. It's still your responsibility. Our perpetrators aren't going to come in and fix it.
Hey, beautiful souls. Are you ready to transform your life with the power of light? Introducing our revolutionary light therapy patches. These little wonders harness the natural healing energy of light to rejuvenate your mind, body, and spirit. Imagine waking up every day feeling refreshed, energized, and ready to conquer your goals. Our patches work to reduce inflammation, boost energy, and enhance overall well-being, all while you go about your day. Don't miss out on this game changer. Visit jenniferpilates.com to learn more and to grab your light therapy patches today. Your transformation awaits. Take the first step now. Feel the light, feel the change. Certainly not. We know they just pop back up to try to continue to trigger it.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And we've both seen that. So you're saying there's hope. You're
Yes.
saying that there's hope through all of this, because I know, like you, like me, we can look back. I can remember saying I could walk into a room, close my eyes, open my eyes, and pick out the Robert Downey Jr. in the room. The guy who's going to be cheating on you, he's got some
Yeah.
sort of addiction, blah, blah, blah. I would look at him and be like, he's mine. And that's what I'm going to have now. I can't count how many of those. But what's so wonderful is once you get on the other side and you're like, oh my gosh, because what do they, who was the common denominator in all of these learning, we'll call them crazy relationships, because we were just repeating what we knew. So once we get to that point of aha, of wow, okay, I'm healing, I'm working with my inner child, my future self, my present self, what do you think are those next steps when one feels actually ready to?
So I would say that no matter who we end up dating, they will trigger us. They will. But I want to go back a minute to hope, because when I talk about this in Adult Survivors of Emotionally Abusive Parents, the book we're talking about today. There's two kinds of hope. And I break those apart in this book. There's relentless hope, which keeps us stuck to perpetrators who fluctuate us between shock and hope to keep us stuck. The shock at their abuse and the audacity that they so overtly show to want to hurt us intentionally, they follow that up with some love bombing and it gives us hope. And we're like in a pinball machine fluctuating between shock and hope, making us far too confused to know where reality is, let alone to know what to do or how to handle that for decades, right?
Right.
So we learn in that dynamic relentless hope, that hope that our perpetrator will finally wake up, see what they've done, own it, and change. And that is the type of hope that becomes rope. Okay. Metaphorically, hope is dope. So we don't want to get high or hung in relationships where we have a relentless hope in someone who will never change. So we tend to leave those relationships over time, but we still want them back when they're gone because we're totally stuck in the relentless hope, because the hope that would come after the shock could feign itself as ownership or insight, and it wasn't. Okay. The kind of hope we need to have is called rebellious hope. We want to have a rebellious hope in ourselves to be discerning and to make good decisions. So, your first step that you asked me to take is I would take a full year off of all dating. It takes 9 months of gestation to birth a baby. And in human beings, the first 3 months you have a fetus. We are the only animal who does not walk on the day of birth. So that's a year. I think you should take a full year of healing. What is 1 year going to make in the dent of your life? Do you want to continue to be abandoned and cheated on and not honored in one relationship after another, but you're not alone? So therefore that's better. How is that better? You lose your self-worth more and more and more over time, each time that you shame yourself by getting into these dynamics. That 1 year, the first 3 months are likely going to be excruciating because all of your core wounds of I'm not good enough, I hate being alone, I'm a loser if I'm alone, there's something wrong with me, I'm never going to find someone, I'm not good enough, all of that stuff. You got to go down into that space with you and read about it. Why do I feel not good enough? Find a book on that. Being single, learn how to be single. I found a woman, I can't remember what her thing is, but she's like promotes herself as the single woman. I don't remember the names of her right offhand, but I read every single book of hers. I had to learn to be single. Also, I learned that you should never be alone. I had 9 marriages between 2 parents. Okay, so I learned that too. So I took a whole year off of dating, and I've done this now 3 times over my lifetime. And you will find someone new, I promise. But each time I decided to take a year off, each relationship got a little bit healthier. Okay, but I was still attracting the same crap. And so those 3 years have been the most magical manifesting years I've ever had. But the first 3 months, because I'm very sensitive to feeling abandoned because of my childhood, I shatter in the first 3 months. It's like I lose all kinds of weight. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I can't function. I'll drive places, not even remember the drive, like just horrible for me, because it doesn't just bring up the loss of that man. It brings up the loss of myself. Why am I not lovable? How come people can't love me? It's got to be me. What's wrong with me? So I had to really look and peel through all of those things. And then, I would say 3 to 6 months kind of functioning again. It's not that bad. I'm making it to the end of every day. I'm okay. I'm going out with friends more. And then the next 6 months, there were times I didn't even want to be in a relationship. I had learned to be so happy on my own that I felt like having a man in my life would destroy what I'd built, and getting to that place is when I would be healthy enough to think, why don't I know my value? And I don't have any adults to look to figure that one out. So I would find books. So in my very first book that's self-published, I talked about I had paper parents. If I ever needed just kind of calm, sound, rational advice, I didn't really have parents I could go to that I would ever want their advice, 4 on my mom and 5 on my dad in terms of marriages. Don't really want their advice. So, and never did I see a happy one. Right.
Right.
And then I was a stepchild at the consequences of these unhappy people. So I had other abusers in my life. So I would go find and learn skills. Having a personality is a skill set. If you want to learn to be composed, practice composure. I made a whole list of words on a mirror of what I thought a healthy adult was. And I did it with a dry erase marker, and I a week, and I practiced putting that into every aspect of the way that I breathed, I walked, I talked, I ate, I thought, and you do that enough and those things become a part of who you are. I didn't have parents to model in that way, so I had to do it a different way. And that's your first step. Find you first, love you first, enter the next relationship. It'll make it very clear to you where your holes are, right? So if that relationship ends, look at those holes, rebuild. And you'll find someone. I've been with my partner he and I've been together for 8 years. We're raising kids in 2 different counties, so we're not going to move because kids come first. He's had a couple of bad relationships, and we have our issues and our triggers, and we openly discuss those. And I can trust him, and he doesn't use my pain against me. And it's really a beautiful thing. And I earned that because I became a version of me that would attract something like that. It's all on you. It is not about your show, Empowered Within. It is all on you to empower yourself to become the version of you that you want to be. No one else has a role in that kind of recovery but you.
It's so powerful. And I love how you share so deeply on the importance of just taking time to be with you. And you say a year, but maybe somebody might take 2 or 3 years because they, like you say, they're suddenly so enjoying themselves. They're like, I don't want someone in my space. I'm all that and a bag of chips. I don't need someone in. And you really, really can do that deep healing work to recognize that only the highest of vibrational value can show up at your door for you to actually open it.
That's right. And I think that when you start living out what your core values are, which you should define what those things are. We all have our own idea of morality, and we have our own idea of what we value, right? You need to figure out what are your core values and operate from that, because that would be your authentic self. Make sure someone is in alignment with those. When you have abandonment syndrome, you don't care who the person is, just as long as you're not alone. It's like you'll pick a number. You don't care, and you've got to start to care, because if you don't value you, why would someone else?
Right.
And it's not their job to come into your life and teach you your value, because if you don't know it, we will discard the ones that are nice because they're not aligning with the terror and abuse and mirroring us that we're not lovable because we haven't done that work. So it all starts with you. When you start to heal, you start changing your vibe. Everything about you shifts, and you start to pull in people that are more in alignment with that. So many of us have been raised and indoctrinated to believe that in all these Disney movies that she's rescued by him. She rescues him. Cinderella wanted a nice pair of shoes, a dress, and a day off. He was looking for her. She didn't even know she was dancing with the prince. She had no idea. She bails. And what did he do for the rest of the movie?
Right. He's trying to find her.
Spent his life looking for her. Beauty and the Beast. She saves him, pulls him out of his animalistic, immature narcissism, and introduces him to a deeper, more love-filled life. So we could go on and in every movie, but he's looking for her. Entangled. Who saves who? Who transforms who? Right?
Nice.
So I love men. I'm not here emasculating them. I'm here to empower women, though, that you bring heaven to earth. How much more powerful can that be? Our men, they bring us a grounded security. Women want security. There's nothing wrong with that. And that doesn't mean fiscally. We want a strong man to help us keep our feet on the ground. My man is so strong that watching me shine is his greatest joy. It doesn't emasculate him. It doesn't make him less. He is so proud of the woman that he has. And I have a very masculine boyfriend, and I love following because I'm type A all freaking day. And I love being just a freaking bobblehead on where we're going to go for our date, where we're going to go for a hike. I don't even have to use a brain cell. I love that. But if I have an interview in LA, he goes with me. He loves watching me shine. He heard my TED Talk 7,000 times. He loves watching me build me creatively, spiritually, intellectually. In my career, doesn't make him feel like less of a man. It makes him feel like more of a man, right? And I found that because I built my way there. And I've also had hard lessons in this relationship, so has he. And we're building together from our core wounding what we each have to look out for so we don't hurt the other person inadvertently, right? So I'm not unique. If I can do this, you can do this. But what I would tell men or women listening to this show, if you want change, change yourself.
Right. Because it all
if you want hope, have hope in yourself, not love out there. Have it here first. Then you will attract it. You won't even have to look for it.
Right. It'll just pop up.
Yes.
It'll just happen. So for those that are out there, when we look back and maybe, I don't know if you went through this, but I grew up with you should always stick it out.
Yeah.
You should always stick it out. Well, can I tell you that I drowned myself over the years in sticking it out. Now it's almost I don't want to say it's to the other side, but now it's like, if I even barely see a little red something up, I'm like, peace out.
Yeah. And I think that that's a phase to go through too. What I always tell people is you will know when. Also, when something is meant to end, it's going to end whether you want it to or not. So I try not to encourage either way, even in couples. I don't encourage either way. I don't encourage sticking it out. I don't encourage one red flag, go. I encourage you listening to your body and looking at the percentages of happiness to unhappiness over a duration of time. If you're 90% unhappy over the course of time and you're living on breadcrumbed hope, you got to get out. And you know how also you'll know? You'll start losing friends. People won't want to talk to you because they're so tired of the same story. Because at some point, you just look like a victim. And honestly, you're allowing yourself to be one. And I know I've been there. That's happened to me. I then was in a relationship that had to be private because no one wanted to hear it anymore. And as I was watching people lose respect for me, I started protecting my secret. Instead of, I was like 25, but instead of like, wow, I must be losing respect for myself and I don't know it. Well, I never had self respect. How would I know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think all those phases are important to go through your growth. But we have to keep in mind that all of us, including us, as healed as we are still imperfect. And we will also accidentally hurt our people unknowingly, or maybe we won't. Maybe we're so attuned to other people's feelings that we don't. I can't recall a time that my boyfriend has one or two times in 8 years that he's hurt my feelings. Okay, he hasn't had near the trauma I've had. So we've had far more discussions about my feelings being hurt. And I'm a girl, right? I've
Right.
more neurons in my brain, especially in my gray matter. I experience more negative emotion than a man does and ever will because that is my brain. But can we talk about it? Can it be civil? Can it be raw? And can it be understood? Yes, or I wouldn't be here 8 years later. He doesn't have near the trauma I do. He doesn't sometimes know when it's not nice or when it's, hurtful, but he learns and he's more than willing to, and there is real change. So that ends up making us feel closer, not further. Right. So you've got to get in and you've got to play with the magic. You've got to allow people to be human and cipher through, is this toxic or not? You might not know for a while, but time will tell you.
Absolutely. And do you think when you began dating, was it something that or you allowed to organically unfold as far as maybe what your triggers were or what they want? Or did you actually have a conversation at an appropriate time of going, this is kind of what I've been through. And so this is, how do you manage that? How do you, work through
I
that?
learned the hard way in other relationships with men that when I told them my story of trauma too early on, it was just used against me as a weapon later. So this guy that I'm with now, I met him the weekend after I cut ties with my mom. And I didn't talk about it for the first year. He knew something had gone wrong, but I said, I don't know you. I don't know your family. Like, And nor was I even ready. I don't think. I was in therapy. He knew. And he was always just like, I'm here if you ever want me to know.
I
And
think
that was great for me. There's things even now, I'm a very suspicious person, unfortunately, or fortunately, because of how I was raised. I would say over 8 years, there's only been 2 times that I've really let him in and openly take a tour of my pain in my basement. I need to learn to do that more. And that's both of those times have been this year.
yeah.
So he's like, why don't I know these things about you? And I'm like, because they're mean old monsters in my basement and I don't like to go there.
Hey there, wellness lovers. Are you ready to transform your fitness journey? Dive into my on-demand Pilates fusion workouts and meditations. Imagine blending the best of Pilates, yoga, and mindful meditation all at your fingertips. Get strong, flexible, and zen anytime, anywhere, 24/7. Head over to jenniferpilates.com for your special exclusive subscription discount. Don't miss out on this ultimate fusion experience. Elevate your body, your mind, and your spirit today. Let's move and meditate together. Hey, beautiful souls. Are you ready to elevate your health and wellness journey? Join my Empowered Within Holistic Health and Wellness private community on Facebook. Imagine having a supportive tribe where you can connect, share, and grow together. Receive exclusive access to holistic health tips, empowering workshops, all designed to help you thrive. Head over to jenniferpilates.com to join our Empowered Within Holistic Health and Wellness community today. Don't miss out on this transformational experience. Empower your mind, body, and spirit today. Let's embark on this journey together. Head over to jenniferpilates.com to join our Empowered Within Holistic Health and Wellness community today. I'll see you there. I think that's super important that you shared an incredible advice of what you held close to your heart until you felt safe. Because
I'm 8 years in and he's still, right? It's very close to my heart. It's my stuff.
I wouldn't have thought about that as someone using it to weaponize against you. But when you said that, I like had some flashbacks and I'm like, oh yeah, actually that has happened in the past.
So, I had a guy say, oh, if people just don't do exactly what you want, you cut them off. I'm sorry, but it took me 4.5 decades to do that. I'm not canceling people everywhere. And by the way, I was cut off. I was the one who was cut off. But, that was used against me.
Right.
And that was very painful. I would also say for both men and women, I knew nothing about men. I didn't know about their brains. I didn't know how different they were. I didn't realize that I was wanting men to respond to me like a girlfriend would. I had no idea. And because there's no courses to help us understand men, I realized how much I was doing wrong. Just being a girl.
Okay, so right there, what were the top 3 things that you think you were doing wrong that can help us all?
Okay. I would be the giver. Giving is masculine. Receiving is feminine. I would give too many words. And I would do it sort of from a place of like, duh. Because you hear men, women, men are dumb. They're not dumb, but they do only use one side of their brain. And I understand why they do. They are built that way because that's how God made them for their sole purpose on planet Earth, which is to face fear every day and bring home the bacon. So if they had all of our gray matter and a bird flew by, they'd be like mid-kill, like, did you see that bird? They'd die. Okay. Right. So I don't text him first. I don't call him first. In theory, maybe he would like that. We talked about this in the beginning, but for him to have the conversation I need, he'd have to come all the way back from hunting, put down all his things and that file, pull out my file to give me the attention I want. Mm-hmm. So I allow him to be in his full masculinity. I don't text him during the day. He's working. I have so much respect for how hard he works. I don't bother him. I can wait. If I'm a mature woman, I can wait. I was a grown girl. I was like, take care of me. I'd call not this person, but other men in the middle of the day. They'd be like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, guess you don't want to talk to me. Guess I'm bothering you. I projected all my shit all over them. Really, he can't do 2 things at once because he's not built that way. It's not because he's dumb. So when you tell a man something and it's so clear to you, and I would say that women, hands down, are almost always right because we use both sides of our brain. But how we communicate it is almost always wrong. We can be very self-righteous. Like, why don't you get it? Well, you need to tell him, give him bullet points, not all the words. We use 20,000 more words a day than a man. Let him go in his cave and don't do this. Just let him think about it. Let him digest it so you're at the same level. Then you can have a really good conversation. And he will see you. And he will be able to see a better version of him. This is the magic of being a woman. But we have to drop our egos and the know-it-all attitude when we're right. We have to allow him to marinate in it longer than we need to, because it's harder for him. Right? If you give a man a lot of words, he's going to shut down.
Right. It's too much.
It's too much. He's going to shut down. So learning to edit, I think, has made me far more articulate And I'm learning that to be articulate is a superpower because I get to do a lot less work and say a lot less and get a better result. Now, I'm a woman. So do you know where I dump all my anger and my self-righteousness? And when I think I'm right, I go to my journal and I write it all out. Okay. I write it all out because I think women make men feel very, very unsafe in verbal talks. So they're not really designed for that. Okay. Another tip, always go side by side with a man. If you're at dinner, sit next to him. Think about it. All men at war go out to the battlefield side by side. Who do they face?
The enemy.
All football players, athletes, they run out onto the field side by side. Who do they face?
The opponent.
Your boyfriend is a VP and he's going to go to a business meeting. Who's he going to sit across from?
His boss.
So if you want to prepare your man to fight and argue, sit across from him. When you sit next to him, you can put your head on his shoulder. It's less threatening. It's in his DNA. So in my office, I angle my chair. And my men always sit away from the angle unconsciously. They don't even know. Because they feel safer. Talk therapy is really foreign to men. It's really not built for what men need. If I have a male that's very hard to open up, I'll say, let's go out and walk. Because if you get them driving, moving, because right, if they're going out onto the field, they're moving.
Right.
So movement, if you have sons, sit next to them, walk with them, throw a ball with them. Let there be something in the middle so that the man doesn't feel this spotlight on him where he's got to be feminine and say the right things and do it all the right way, or she's going to be mad and she's going to say I'm not good enough and I'm failing her and why am I so dumb, right? So I had to learn what feminine energy really is. I never considered that giving was masculine, ever.
I've never heard that before. I mean, it's in all my years, never heard it before.
Well, let's pull apart the penis and the vagina.
Okay.
Okay, let's just go there.
Let's go there.
What does the vagina do? Does it give?
No, it's receiving.
Does the egg chase the sperm?
No.
Isn't our organ internal?
Yes.
Can you see it from the outside?
No.
Okay. We receive, right?
Yes, we're the receiver.
My eggs have never left the uterus and chased a man around. But women that are desperate, they chase the sperm. I'm like, why are we baking him cookies? It's date one. Let him give. Let him open the door. Let him love you. Do you know that they feel so masculine? And I can already hear women because I hear it in here. If I don't do anything, he's not going to do anything. Then he's not your man.
Right. 100%.
Okay. Scott doesn't let me pay. Scott doesn't let me pay. Do you know what Sherry tried to do? Here, I'll get this one. Some men will let you do that. I don't think it's wrong, but it's not feminine on my part. So I learned about feminine energy, and my God, I was working so hard to be a dude so that I could have control, so that I could feel safe, so that I could have, right? I couldn't wait. I didn't trust that if I waited, that it would actually happen. So I had to learn hard things like patience. My mind, in being patient, would start spinning an abandonment story, a fear story, a cheating story. It would be insane.
Absolutely.
So to stop my pain, I would then become masculine and I'd initiate contact or I'd initiate something, right? And I was attracting really all the wrong men because I was being the wrong woman. I didn't love me. So I had to learn to sit in fear. I had to learn to be patient. I had to learn to trust that the right man was out there for me and that he would find me, and he did. Okay. So I think there's three types of women. So if there's an island of of women, there's the hitchhiker at the shore, who I was for years. There's the woman in the middle of, kind of that way, but there's a woman at the core. There's these women at the core, and they're mysterious and they're magical, and that's who men want. Okay. So I'm hitchhiking for years, and they'd pull up. I'd get in the boat. They'd get me past the waves, and then they'd throw me the oars, start rowing. So I'd row and row, and they'd be like, "You're not rowing right. You're not doing this right. You're not that right." And then then it's fighting. You got in my boat. I didn't. You were hitchhiking, and I would wash up dead on the shore over and over and over again. And I was constantly like, "When's the next boat coming?" Like I try to time when was the next boat? I don't want to be alone. I'm so scared to be alone, right? And then that didn't work. And that wore me out, and it wore me to my bone, and it made me hate myself, and I felt unlovable. I felt so easy to abandon and reject. And so then I just went into hiding, which I would call healing. And I would hear about these other women, the mystery women. Okay. These bitches are magical sorcerer, manifesting beautiful women who are so happy and living in their own feminine lives. They don't even know boats are going by. They don't care. And men will leave their boats and go in and on a major hunt to find these magical women, and they will die healthy, late, and happy.
I love
Okay.
it. Yeah.
I hitchhiked for years. It's all I knew. My value was so low. A man cannot save you. A woman cannot save a man either. If he's not healthy, no matter how healthy you think you are, you cannot fix him. If he's not in his healthy masculine energy, you can't fix him. So I had to learn about men, and then I had to learn about women. And I studied goddesses. I studied the Greek goddesses. I got a book called Pussy, a Reclamation. One of the best books I've ever read. Women Who Run with Wolves. Wow, that book knocked my socks off. The Red Tent. I love feminine, round, soft, receiving, patient, articulate, smart, magical energy. And I live it every day now. And it is what makes my relationship work, because I stay feminine. When I'm masculine, I'm afraid, I'm insecure, and I'm feeling afraid. I'm feeling I need control. And that's what masculinity manifests in women. Okay. A man doesn't want you to come in and control him and tell him what to do and be his boss. That's masculine. Nor is it his job to tell you what to do or order you around, unlike Harrison Butker may be thinking. But I do believe that it's important to know who you are. If you're a woman, have you ever studied being one? Do you know what it is? Have you ever studied feminine energy? Have you ever read a book on this? Do you know what masculine energy is? Do you know how masculine you are every day? I love women. I wouldn't say I'm a feminist, because I think men are equally important in Earth and for our lives and our kids. Not all women are in their feminine energy, and not all men are healthy in their masculine energy. We've got a lot of masculine women. I really prefer being feminine. It's so much more lovely.
It's so much more easier.
Oh, it's
Just
so much.
flowing.
Yes.
You're just flowing.
Yes. When I get women insecure, like, should I call? Should I call? I'm like, I don't know. Do your eggs want out? Do they want to go chase the sperm? Like, wouldn't you feel better in the big picture if he really actually did reach out? It was his effort towards you. can't you wait for that? Or you're so scared that it won't happen that you make it happen, but that now you're the man. I mean, if you want to do that, you can. I'm sure he'll answer, but then you're going to always be the leader.
Right.
And then he'll let you row the boat. He'll get a free ride. He works hard
Absolutely.
all day. Why not get a free ride? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I would take those
Absolutely.
steps if you want healthier dynamics.
Those are brilliant. I love all of those. So I want to ask you this because, well, you are the expert here. Throughout, and you've shared some, but this is, I think, going maybe one step deeper. Throughout all of the experiences that you've navigated with your romantic relationships, what really has been the most profound aspect that you've learned about yourself in the process?
I would say really embracing being very feminine has been the most joyous part of my life. Like future Sherry for me is like sorceress, is witchy. She's so magical and so wise. I love imagery. I love metaphors, right? So I have a healing room at home in my house, which I think I described on another show. But I think of things like in Pocahontas, the wise willow tree. I love finding myself. I love discovering myself. It is such a didactic, beautiful, but all internal process. And I used to try to find men, and now I'm constantly in pursuit of building me and finding new aspects of me. It's such a creative process. And I really love that. That's been the most profound awakening of my life, that my healing journey is the greatest journey that there is. And discovering me and building me and rediscovering me and remembering me and stinging over my bones and doing all of that healing work is something I don't ever want to stop because it keeps me alive. That I get to write myself back into existence through a journal or my books every day in such a creative process. And I get to be this person that I love being. And without shame, unless I'm really triggered, do I feel shame anymore? And I don't want to be powerful because that insinuates to me power over something. I just want to feel empowered. And that is a verb for me. It's not a noun. I want to always be empowering myself and not over anyone else, just for me, stretching the boundaries of what I think I can manifest. I love helping other people. I love having an impact. The only way I can do that is if I keep magic in my life. And my life was full of pain for so long, and I love the magic now. It's really a beautiful space to be.
Hey there, beautiful souls. Are you ready to unlock your true potential and live an empowered life? Introducing the Intuitive Mastery Coaching Program with me, Jennifer Pilates. This is a one-of-a-kind transformative experience. Imagine embracing your sensitivity as a superpower, gaining control over your energy, and navigating the world with confidence and clarity. With over 24 years of expertise, I'm here to guide you on this incredible journey. Don't wait to transform your life. Visit jenniferpilates.com now to learn more and sign up. Embrace your sensitivity, empower your life. Thank you for that. That was so amazing and just so authentic, and to remind people about magic. And I feel that there's so many of us like you and I that as we get to different spots on our healing journey, you can see the magic that's around us and the magic that you're pulling in.
What I get called now, and I've been being called this for years in my social media, is an earth angel.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an actual song called Earth Angel that my boyfriend found, and he always posts it on my birthday. But I think it's so magical to be a woman and so magical to embrace your feminine energy And then that supports and empowers men to be in their healthiest masculine energy. And we're men and women. We want that vibe to be very attractive and to do that over time. I think too, sometimes people get married and it becomes bartering and deal making. This is my role. This is, and then we're always making each other unhappy. And I think it's really important to always live your individual life first and then share it with your partner. Share it. It's lovely to live without demand and without letdown and without high expectations of others. And not that we don't run into those traps, because you do have to partner with someone, right? But if you're individually really, really happy, that means that you are taking care of you for your person and they're taking care of themselves for you. That just seems like such a better deal. Then you need to do this for me, for me to be, you need to speak my love language for me to feel loved. Well, what if that's not their love language though? What if their love language is something different? And if they're doing all of that, they're loving you in their language. Why doesn't that count? Like, I just don't like all of that. You have to be some type of way for me to be happy. No one's going to be able to do that for anybody, no male, no female. So work on your individual life. We all have bodies for a reason. Like, if we're all supposed to be one, why would we separate out into all these different bodies? Like, we just be a blob of some other type of thing, right? So
Exactly.
we're supposed to have separation and individuation. And in fact, eroticism, keeping sex alive, really has more to do with distance than closeness.
Oh, do tell.
There's a book called Mating in Captivity, and I highly suggest you all read it.
Oh boy. Okay.
When is a relationship the most spicy and sexy? When is that?
The beginning.
When you're getting to know someone.
Mm-hmm.
So why would we stop growing because we got married? You're married, and so now you get to stop growing because what your person's going to do all of that for you? Or why not become the most magical wife or magical husband you can be individually, have alone time, have separation, so you still want to have sex? Text less during a day so you're excited to talk to your person when they come home.
Mm-hmm.
Little ways. And she goes through all these ways, how it's a myth that the closer you are to somebody, the more you want to have sex with them. It's totally a myth.
Well, I mean, it goes back to all the programming. We've talked so much in here. We just made like 5 other podcasts about what's gone on in our society and all that jazz. And where has masculinity gone and femininity, what you're saying is so important. And it really just goes back to the foundation of our world as to how it once was. And it speaks to the collective, honestly, and the spiritual war and the spiritual war that we're in right now. This speaks collectively as to where we're trying to go back to, or refresh or bring anew back into the feminine role, which is of the goddess and the gentleman showing up and being there with their swords and whatnot. And
that's right. But we don't want women waving handkerchiefs from castles of "come save me."
Right. No.
We want to be the woman in the center of the island that is so magical, so intelligent, so in her right, but not masculine. Today, some of the feminists seem like they have bigger penises than the men, and that they want that, and that they're considering this feminist. They're abusive to men and they're feminist. I don't understand that. I don't want that part because that's not what I was born with. But I want to know what my part is. I bring heaven to earth. I'm sorry, but I don't need to get into a competition of who can top that. Right? But I want to bring heaven to earth, not just through babies, but through magic, through impact, through intelligence, through being articulate, through being soft, receiving, feminine, kind, generous, courteous, respectful, right? Disciplined, hardworking. All of that can still be feminine because it can be your individual person. And I can still go to an airport with my boyfriend and I can use one brain cell and happily bobblehead along with him.
Isn't that the best?
It's the best. I'm so geographically challenged that my boyfriend's like, babe, you are not going to LA on your own. I'm like, I love you. Because Barbie can't end up in dangerous places.
Not a good idea.
Can't.
No.
No. So he takes care of me in those ways, and I take care of him in my feminine ways. But I do love reading those books. I love intuition. I love that my brain is what it is, that I am more attuned to nuances in the environment than a man would be, because if he were, he would get distracted and killed. So I love that I get to raise a daughter. I love all the feminine energy, and I just don't see it as weak. I see it as patient, and I see it as articulate and wise. And I don't need to out control, outsmart, outdo any dude for any reason. It doesn't make me feel more powerful. It doesn't.
No.
So those are some mistakes that I think are made. And then I think, we lose ourselves, and we keep trying to have control in these relationships because we really want to be loved. Right. So it's learning to let go of control and switch out control for allowing. And allowing requires faith and patience, and it doesn't usually happen in the timing that you'd like.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. So beautiful. This has been, again, amazing. Another mic drop of an episode. I can't thank you enough. Will you share with our community where they can best get in contact with you?
I would say my website, drsherrycampbell.com, links to my social media and my podcast, all that stuff is there. I'm very alive in social media. I'm very committed to it, and it's very interactive. My particular following, they really love one another. They're friends outside of my following, which I love. Men and women alike are always welcome. And I love interviewing men too, because I get to hear their voice, and they've survived family abuse as well. So my podcast has a mix of all of that. So, it's just a place to come be loved and to fit in, because you're not alone.
No. It's amazing. Yeah. And that's how we connected. And it's been such an incredible blessing since the fall.
I adore you. I just adore you.
Thank you. I love you so much. It's been a journey for us together.
It has. It's been wonderful.
It really has. Well, as we close out the show today, is there one last snippet of advice or inspiration that you'd like to leave with us?
If you're going to be inspired by anybody, be inspired by you and your growth path. Find it inspiring instead of harrowing. Find it inspiring. Great discomfort can lead us to the most magical places if you're willing to look at it and help yourself and learn. Just, if you really want to love yourself, you have to figure out who you are. We don't really love people we don't know, right? So know yourself. Let that be your journey. That's been my journey. It's been just knowing me, and I get to know me better every day, and it's beautiful.
That's beautiful. Thank you. I love that so much. I love having you on the show. This has been so amazing. Thank you so much for bringing all the gems, your insights, allowing us to be here on your journey with you, feeling safe to be so authentic, and helping us to feel safe to know that none of us are alone and that we are truly all in this together.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me always. I just love you so much.
Well, thank you. Well, hopefully we'll be back again at some point. But for now, these were our 3 amazing therapy sessions, and we are so grateful to have you. So as we say, until next time, may you live an empowered life from within. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to Empowered Within with Jennifer Pilates. Your feedback is important. It helps me to connect with you and gives me insight into who you are and what you're enjoying about the show. For today's show notes and discount codes from today's sponsors, head over to jenniferpilates.com. Until next time, may you live an empowered life from within. Hey, podcast lovers, are you ready for an exclusive behind the scenes experience? Introducing our on demand podcast interview videos for Empowered Within, your VIP pass to never before seen footage, hilarious bloopers, and all the wisdom from our top experts. Imagine having access to all the juicy details and extra content that didn't make it to the final cut. Whether you're on the go or chilling at home, these videos will keep you entertained and inspired. Don't miss out. Head to jenniferpilates.com now and unlock your on-demand access to exclusive podcast interviews. Your backstage pass awaits. Grab it today.